Welcome to this week's podcast edition of The Basketball Show. I'm your host, Paul Sir, who, along with our producer, Ryan Reed, started out our talk today using what we call our Three from Deep format, where we talk about three of the top stories in the basketball world at this time. Our first guest today was Marek, who was part of the bronze medal winning team for Canada basketball in the recent FIBA 3x3 AmeriCup. First time a men's team has ever won a medal, and Marek talks about his experience of changing from 5-on-5 basketball to 3x3. Then we bring in local official Reihen Knysh. Reihen is a young official with the Edmonton Basketball Officials Association, and Reihen has a lot of interesting things to say about what it's like to transition from being a player to being an official. Thanks so much for joining us today on and listening to our podcast, and we hope you enjoy it.
We're leaving town again, ignoring safe and sound again.
Good morning, and welcome to The Basketball Show here on Sports 1440. I'm your host, Paul Sir, along with our show's producer, Ryan Reed. Ryan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Pretty bad weather outside, snow-wise and road-wise, but we're inside now, so
that's right.
It doesn't matter.
I had to take an Uber today, and I had just the most interesting and delightful ride with a young man from who had immigrated to Canada 6 months ago from the continent of Africa, and he said this has been tough. This has been really tough. Like you can imagine what this feels like for the first time. And but Benjamin was just a great young man, and wish him all success in Canada. This is a basketball show, of course. We're going to talk hoops later in the show. I'm going to talk about the performer, the artist who performed our opening song, and actually all songs today will be from a band called Worst Days Down, and it was my son Benjamin's band, and Ben passed away tragically in April of 2023, and tonight at the Starlight Room, with the doors opening at 5 o'clock, there's a fundraiser in memory of Ben, where bands and friends in the music world have flown in literally from all over North America to remember Ben, to play his music and their music in offering a tribute to the life and how he impacted so many people in such a positive way. And all of the proceeds will go to two mental health oriented organizations. Doors open at 5. Tickets are still available. If you're interested, come. All money will go to a great cause, but we'll touch on that a little bit in our last segment. Ryan, we first of all, if you have any basketball-related questions, we have please send them to our text line at 833-401-1440. Again, 833-401-1440. Ryan, we're getting back into the poll question, and I think we've got a good one to start off.
A whole run off the bat. It's talking about the NBA MVP. So it's who's the NBA MVP halfway through the season. We have the options as Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Then there's another option as well, and you can text us or reply to the tweet with your other decision. We'll discuss it.
Absolutely. And the text line is? The text line is 833-401-1440, or you can respond to the message that Ryan sent out. So again, it's Jokic, Giannis, Gilgeous-Alexander, or others, and others that I guess you would put it into the discussion, Ryan, would be Jason Tatum from the Celtics, who are looking right now, if you look at midway through the season, Ryan, I don't know that if you said the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be the favorite. They're still very good, but would they be the favorite?
No, but they're always there. That's the thing. It's probably one of those, the Cavaliers have a better record, but I still think I take the Celtics over them in the playoffs because the Celtics have done it before. But it is the Thunder in my mind still right now. The dominance they've shown in the regular season. They've also shown they can do in the playoffs. The Cavs always do this thing where they're not this good, but they're really good in the regular season and kind of seem to fall apart in the playoffs a little bit. I'd still take the Celtics in the East right now. I'm not going to lie.
And you hit on the key element. They have been there before. They have won it. They know what it's like to be close, and they know what it's like to break through, as they did last year when they won the NBA championship. Today's lineup is really interesting. First segment, we have Marek Klassen. Marek is from the Vancouver area. Had a great collegiate career. He's Canadian, obviously. Has played overseas for many, many years. Marek's 32 years old. Played in a lot of the top leagues in Europe. And has for some time wanted to play in the 3x3 world. So he joined Team Canada this year for the AmeriCup, which was held in December in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where for the first time Canadian men medaled with the bronze medal, and we're within literally a missed layup of beating Puerto Rico to get to the gold medal game against the United States. So Marek will join us in the second hour, and then we're going to talk about our community champion with someone I think you're familiar with, Ryan.
Yeah, you scheduled this guy, Reihen Knysh, and I didn't actually know you were scheduling him, but he's one of my best friends. I played basketball with him in almost my entire life, and I saw him like a couple days ago.
Small world, but Reihen was recommended to me by Karan Lewis, who is the president of the Edmonton Basketball Officials Association, which is one of our community champion organizations, as one of the great, bright, young officials who he really feels has a tremendous future. So we're going to talk to Reihen about what it's like to be in the officiating ranks as a young man. Then we're going to have the longtime coach of the University of Alberta Pandas, Scott Edwards, is going to join us. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the Toronto Raptors with Josh Lewenberg. And Josh, in our old days at TSN when we were on 1260, and then moving over here to Sports 1440, has been with us many, many times. And Josh is a tremendous reporter, and nobody knows any more about the Raptors than Josh. So we're really looking forward to getting into it with him. But I'm going to introduce right now a segment we'll do every week in our opening monologue. And that's we're going to call that 3 from Deep. We're going to tie into the 3x3 theme that is so critical in terms of the sponsorship of this program. Certainly, as listeners may know, I've been deeply involved in 3x3 for a long, long time. And in fact, yesterday, Ryan, I was over here for 2 reasons. One was for the Skechers grand opening of their new concept store, which is right down by the Ice Palace. And it's a great store. Great store. And what shocked me was how much emphasis they placed on basketball. And certainly Skechers is known for comfort. People sometimes associate them with old people's shoes, walking around with lots of padding. They're anything but that right now, and their store is something I'd recommend to anybody. Go check it out. But then the second was to meet with our television crew and to look at the Ice Palace in terms of how we're going to set it up for our big 3x3 event, July 31st to August 3rd. We've got 3 separate events, but again, we'll be talking about that every week more and more, and Marek Klassen will be in our 3x3 segment in the next segment. So let's go to 3 from Deep. Ryan, we saw, I think, a hopeful glimmer of the Raptors' future this past week when they had consecutive wins over the Golden State Warriors and the Celtics. They kind of fell to earth last night, lost to the Bucks kind of handily, got handled a bit, but they played really well against Golden State with a monster 17-point fourth quarter by Chris Boucher. It was kind of Chris Boucher at his very best. Energy, hitting threes, dunk putbacks, like he was just phenomenal. And then had a solid effort across the board against the Boston Celtics and really just plain handled them that night. So is this a nucleus then, Ryan? Here's the question. We talked last week with Jack Armstrong about it. Is this the nucleus that with a key draft pick, maybe a couple of key other personnel moves in the lineup, is this the future of the Raptors?
Yes, for sure, I'd say it, but for different reasons. I don't think looking at a 2-game sample size and seeing them win is as forthcoming as it should be. I think, like, if you look previous in the season, they've got killed multiple times in a row. I think management looks at this general sample size as a whole season or a whole couple seasons, not just breaking it down to weeks and like months and stuff like that. So moving forward, they're like in 3 months from now, they're going to look at this positively, but I don't think it'll have a lot of weight into their decision making as a nucleus. I do think the nucleus is good, but I don't think putting it into different weeks and months is beneficial for them moving forward. Okay,
so I agree with you, but that wasn't my point. I didn't express it well. My point is we got a snapshot, literally one little picture, one little segment that on a given night, this team is talented enough, because I think that's where the doubts come from, is this team talented enough with these present players on given nights, and then to be built upon that into the future, they're going to be good enough to compete with Boston, to beat a veteran Golden State team, which is a shell of what it used to be. And they had injuries that night. Steph Curry still was fantastic. But the Raptors, to me, what it demonstrated to me, particularly against Boston, is that this team has the physical capability and the skill set to be decent. But we still know they're at least two major pieces short and still need to strengthen their bench a bit. But I agree with you. Over the course of the season, and that's actually going to tie into our next topic in the Three from Deep. So I appreciate what you say, but it was a hopeful glimmer in a pretty dismal season for the Raptors. So
it speaks to the state when they're saying consecutive wins. That's a headline.
Consecutive wins against Golden State and Boston.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Okay,
it wasn't against Washington and some other team that really isn't very good. They were good wins against good teams. And we're starting to see some progress in certain players that show hope and show some of the reasons why Masai Ujiri and his brain trust drafted or traded for them. Point number 2, the February 6th trade deadline is looming. So let's talk about some of the players that are really being looked at as kind of the marquee players. I put it that way, Ryan. The marquee players that are considered to be on the trade block. I'll start with the two poison pills, Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal, two absolute head cases, talented head cases that you really have to wonder what team would look at them and say, they're, especially Butler. I mean, Butler's proven a lot in the playoffs. Beal has been with a woeful franchise in Washington and now was brought in to be kind of part of a big three with Booker and Durant in Phoenix. But between injuries, which Beal always battles, and apparently just his inability to get on the court and actually deliver something, plus with a bad attitude, you have to look at them and go, who would trade for Jimmy Butler or who would trade for Bradley Beal, feeling like they were a missing piece that would help them win a championship this year?
Jimmy Butler, I think, is going to continue to play for the Heat, at least at the moment. I remember via his agent, he did say, "I'm back" in like a public release because I think his suspension's over. But
how magnanimous of Butler and his agent to say he's back,
playing his contract.
His paycheck. Yeah. Oh my God!
And then Bradley Beal, I think it goes beyond him just being not a very good player this season, or for what he's used to at least. His contract is one of the worst in the league. He has a no trade clause, which means he has to approve whatever happens trade wise. I would bet a house that Bradley Beal's not traded this season.
Okay, well, I don't, I hope you hold on to your real estate. But I think because to me, it might be one of those situations in Phoenix where they just say, we got to get rid of this guy. What do we have to do? What do we have to eat to get rid of Bradley Beal? He's just poisoning now, I can't say this for sure, but from the outside looking in, it looks like he just poisons the locker room. And I agree with you with Butler, but I mean, Pat Riley, when you look at the Heat organization, this isn't one you screw around with. This isn't some 31-year-old GM just trying to keep his job. This is Pat Riley. And I mean, the Heat have a history. They have a championship history. So I'll be very interested. I'll be shocked if Jimmy Butler is in Miami past February 6th. Okay. I'll be shocked. But some of the other names that are kind of interesting, the name that now people thought was never going to be heard is, will New Orleans deal Zion Williamson? And I'll tell you what, if I'm New Orleans, I'm open, man. What do you guys want? Give me the best deal you can. I want this guy out of here.
I think it is obviously always stay open with those kind of things. When he isn't one of the best players in the world, you have to always be open with the trade. But I do think with New Orleans, same perspective, maybe devil's advocate a little bit here, when his value is so much lower than it could be,
yep.
Why sell low? unless you think this is the end of the road. I don't think this is the end. I think it'll get higher eventually, but it feels like I saw something on Twitter the other day where Zion has like a windmill dunk and then just disappears back into oblivion for another year and then shows back up and has another windmill dunk, and that's just it.
It would appear, and maybe this isn't the case, but it would definitely appear that Zion Williamson does not take the conditioning aspect of the NBA seriously.
I think he has weight clauses in his contract.
I know, and I mean,
which is crazy.
I hope they're fining him for not meeting them, because I can't imagine that he's meeting them. But physically, we all knew when we saw him play at Duke that his body type was going to be questionable for the NBA. You know, a 6'6" frame with 280, 290 pounds on it. That's a body that night in and night out with all the pounding over an 82-game regular season is going to be awfully tough to stay injury-free.
Here's where the clause works for Zion. So his combined weight and body fat percentage cannot exceed 295 pounds. He must pass 6 weigh-in checkpoints during the season. If he fails to meet the weight requirement, he could face financial penalties. And if he meets the requirement, he can earn a portion of his salary for the following season. So it's like a forward guarantee if he meets it. But it feels like you're babying him almost, no?
Well, you are babying him. But I mean, and again, it comes back to you're bringing babies into the league. I mean, Zion Williamson was 19 when he came into the NBA. So he's still a young man. And I think, you know, there are, like, you look at Cooper Flagg. One of the things that people are talking about with Cooper Flagg at Duke is that he's so mature. Most people aren't that mature when they come into the league. So Zion, I think, you know, hopefully he's going to be able to overcome his injuries, take his physical conditioning seriously, get himself healthy, string together some consecutive seasons, and show people how good that he could be and that he would come close to meeting what the high expectations were for him coming out of Duke. Some of the other names before we jump to break are Nets Cam Johnson, who is a gunner, but he can really fill it up, and he would be a nice catch in certain situations. Surprisingly, the LA Lakers rookie Dalton Knecht, who I really think highly of, but something just doesn't seem quite right with the way he is functioning in LA. He had some really good streaks early on, but it seems like LA is now thinking of trying to move him for a veteran piece in order to give LeBron a shot at another championship. Jakob Poeltl. Now, this surprises me that the Raptors would consider moving him, because I think Poeltl's been fantastic. He's been one of the very bright spots for the Raptors. And then Randall from the Timberwolves, of course, who continues to be kind of an enigma. And finally, just before we jump to break, the number 3 in our 3 from Deep is the best closers in the league. You would not think we would be talking about DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento. And the reason I put this in is specifically for you, Ryan.
I appreciate it.
Because you're such a huge Kings fan. But they have won a lot of games on a team that is still a work in progress, and it's been due to the outstanding play in the fourth quarter in the last 2 to 3 minutes by both DeRozan and by Fox.
Totally. I think that Doug Christie's kind of showing. Last week we talked about it a little bit, and he has a little bit more of a sample size now. It's definitely clicking with some of his players.
It is.
But just one more thing before we got a text message.
Yeah.
Nick believes that the Raptors are playing Boucher a lot to showcase him for trade. He's saying that Boucher could have done this all year, but they are tanking.
Well, that could be. That's actually a good point. The thing with Boucher, if again, not knowing him personally, but reputation preceding, you have to take it with a grain of salt, is he's a moody guy. Because when Boucher is right and he comes into the game ready to go and be that energy player, Nick, he can do some spectacular things. But to your point, you make a great point. Are the Raptors going to tank? Is that why they're looking at showcasing Boucher now, trying to move him before the 6th? Are they going to try to get value for Poeltl? And are they going to tank for the rest of the year so their odds in the lottery go up to have a shot at a Cooper Flagg or one of the other great players in what looks like right now is going to be a very deep and talented draft? Thanks for that, Nick. And anybody else want to text their comments or questions in 833-401-1440. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk on our 3x3 review this week with Marek Klassen, and we'll be back right after these messages here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440.
When I'm far away and just a faded memory, will I have the chance to say I'm proud to be a piece of your history? Because it seems we're nothing more than the places we leave, a growing list of things that we don't want but probably need. Oh, hey, hey.
Welcome back to the Basketball Show, Sports 1440. That was my son Ben on That Was Fair by Worst Days Down. This week's 3x3 review, I bring in someone I've never had the chance actually to speak with, Marek Klassen, hailing out of the Vancouver area. And by the way, you can listen on your car radio, on any radio, but of course you can listen online at sports1440.ca as well. But back to Marek. Recently, the AmeriCup for FIBA 3x3 was held in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Canadian women won gold, but the Canadian men broke through and did something that's not been done before. They won the bronze medal. And Marek, you guys were literally a layup away from beating Puerto Rico and getting into the gold medal game, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. I think I missed that lip.
Well, I don't know that it was you, but you guys battled Puerto Rico hard because one of your teammates, of course, is my son Steve, and Steve was talking about how you guys played Puerto Rico, in practice, and he said Puerto Rico handled you guys pretty well, but to come back in San Juan and to do like literally everything but beat them and be in a position to beat them to get to the gold medal game just showed how much you guys were coming together, because Marek, one of the challenges has to be you hadn't played in a 3x3 event before.
Yeah, that was my first one. Also Grant's first one. Yeah, I think those days leading up to it, the practice times with Puerto Rico, with USA, we were not even close to the same team, and that was the growth we showed over 2 days was really cool. And I think that also just goes to the 3x3 game, right? You can, with smart people that work hard on a team, like you can really accomplish a lot in a short amount of time.
Now, Marek, you went to Yale Secondary in Vancouver. You had a great career at Point Loma Nazarene, a Division II school down in the U.S. You played with a number of overseas teams, a lot of really, really good teams in a lot of great leagues, as well as having 2 stints with Vancouver in the CEBL. So you're one of the road warriors that often happens with people who are passionate about basketball, as you obviously are. So now, you're in your early 30s. I know you've had your eye on 3x3 for a while. What tipped the scale this year for you to really want to make the plunge into playing 3x3?
Yeah, it's been great. So my wife and I, we've been playing overseas 9 years now, professionally 5-on-5, and I've tried playing with Steve many times. Like he's had several different sort of qualifiers or challengers where, he asked me to come out and play, and it just always has never quite worked out with the timing of the 5x5 season. So yeah, this year we had negotiated a long time with Nanterre in France to try and be out there, and when that fell through, I had basically just done a camp with Canada Basketball, and Ron had mentioned hey, we're going to have a tryout, and Steve's going to be there, and I'm not sure if you wanted to come. And I said, if Steve's going to be there, I'm going to be there. So just the timing worked out for it. I basically told my agents, let's push off all 5v5 contracts until after this AmeriCup situation, and that's why it worked out, and just super happy for the experience and the opportunity.
So tell me, Marek, it really is a different. It is a different game. You're playing with what I guess, for lack of a more eloquent way to describe it, a weird basketball, size 6, girl size basketball with different grooves in it, but a size 7 weight, a men's basketball weight. You're playing outdoors. You're playing with a very intimate arena setting, and then you're playing 3x3 with a 12-second shot clock. Tell me what it was like when you got into the tournament, how it felt for you to start making the transition and figuring out what the differences are between the two different games.
Yeah, and then when you say all those things like that, it really like hits you. It is so different. There's so much different. And I think one of the biggest things for me was when I spoke with Steve and even Jerome after the tournament, just kind of getting a debrief. It's like when I play 5-on-5 as a point guard, especially when I started playing at higher levels, I control so much of the game. I control the pace, I control what we're running, even like my talk, my interaction, my teammates. And in 3x3, you have very little control over most things. Even like in the semifinal against Puerto Rico, we're playing like obviously Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico, phenomenal environment. There's a situation where someone passed the ball to their big guy, the ball got sweaty, they threw the ball out of bounds and put a new ball in. I was like, no, like we can't take a new basketball. Like I was trying to tell the ref, what are you talking? Like, no, now we're like, let's go check it up. And they were kind of hustling. I was like, this is crazy. We can't play with a new basketball. We played, 6 minutes with the other one. And there's just, there was one game we went to the thing and there was no water. So they ran out of water. It was just like very unique and different rules, but also very different environment. And so I think just very challenging. And I think that's another part of, one of the things I'm really excited about with 3x3 is learning that environment more, learning what it means to be a 3x3 player will just help you get better.
I think you expressed it really well. It's the little things in 3x3 that are so different, and it's like a whole list. All of a sudden, it goes from one. It's not just 3-on-3 versus 3 players versus 5. It's all these little detailed things: environment, culture, setting, organization, all of the things that you just described. And here's the kicker, Marek. It's so darn fast. You don't have time. Like you said, in a 24-second clock environment, full court environment, point guard handles the ball, gets the team into their set, the actions start. 3x3, you can't do that. You can't get out, dribble the basketball for 5 or 6 seconds, get things set up. You got to make decisions instantaneously, don't you?
Absolutely. And like, if you think about, if I think about the last 2-3 seasons where I've had buyouts and left to different teams and went, and hey, now Marek, you're the point guard, these are our sets, and, make impact. And it's easy. Like that's what I do. That's my job. I come and I make impact. I lead in my position. But at 3x3, you couldn't practice enough. Like basically what Steve and Jerome told me is the more we practice, the better we'll get. And I'm always like, okay, I get that, but I want to be good right now. But that's the problem is like in 3x3, there's an infinite amount of situations and positions that you could find yourself in, where I'm screening. Next possession, someone's screening me. Next possession, I'm shooting the 3, but then I'm also passing to, like, there's just an infinite amount. So you got to play together a lot to sort of find that rhythm and space. And that's where I see, like, we really committed to it over that, let's say, week we were together. And like, that's how we got so much better in 2-3 days. And then I think even like looking back at the tournament, if we still didn't play our best basketball. I don't know if you ever can play your best basketball in 3x3. Like, I don't know if that's possible. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And I'm talking to Marek Klassen. Marek, out of the Vancouver area, has played 5-on-5 internationally for a long time, played for Team Canada 5-on-5. Marek has played in the CEBL, and we'll touch on that in a moment, Marek. And recently was part of the bronze medal winning men's team at the Marek Cup in San Juan, Puerto Rico here, joining us on the basketball show on Sports 1440. So, Marek, I think you talk about, here's the other thing about 3x3. The microcosm environment is, as soon as the ball goes through the hoop, it's live. You got to check, you got to clear the ball, and you got to move, because in 12 seconds there's going to be a shot clock violation. Everything speeds up to a hyperactive speed. It's almost like a combination of hockey, rugby, and basketball at the same time. Plus, the cardiovascular requirements of 3x3 are really unique, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a fast pace. So fun, such a fast pace, and a great, actually, I think a great viewing experience as well. A lot of my friends and people that have never, all they watch is 5v5 because that's all I played. They're now watching 3x3 like, yo, that was so exciting. And a lot of people are saying like that was anticlimactic. Like there was so much anticipation, and then the game's just over. No, okay, when's the next one? Oh, well, the next one's in an hour. It's like, oh, let's watch it again. Like a very interesting viewing experience, which is unique.
Well, it really is. A real quick anecdote I'd share with you is many years ago, I went to Lausanne, Switzerland. Steve was playing with the team Saskatoon at the time. So we're over there, and the Swiss, and you know this from playing over in Europe, that's not a basketball country. And Lausanne, the place is packed. I'm sitting next to a guy who was around 80 years old. He sat there the whole day. And at one point, I asked if he spoke English. He did. Of course, it's Switzerland. And I said, so are you a basketball fan? He goes, no, I never watch basketball. I just like this. And he sat there the whole day. And I think that's emblematic of the viewing experience. Like you're saying, Marek, it's so fast-paced. The game's over so quickly, and then it's on to the next game.
Totally. And I think, if you go to any major city in Europe and watch the 5v5 basketball, obviously the culture is huge because people have, decades and decades of cheering for the same team. They understand basketball. But 3x3 is different because the basketball is different. It's, and like I said, it's the infinite amount of positions that you find yourself in. I would grab a rebound, dribble handoff in like a grenade action to our big guy coming off the handoff, and then he would set a flare screen for a non-shooter or it's just, there's a million ways that you can play the game, and I think that's so fun for the fans because they're seeing something new. And obviously the shot clock, the ball's going up, every 5 to 8 seconds. A really good viewing experience. And for me also, that was part of the event and experience of the America Cup, right? Is like meeting new people from Latin American countries or just, South American countries. Also being able to be on the sideline and watch, teams and new cultures play. Like it was a really good experience. And I had sort of, again, debriefed with Steve and some of the Canada basketball team just saying like, for me, playing 3x3 was a great opportunity, but playing for my country and being able to see other countries and their styles and, in an event like the America Cup was just such an opportunity and it's such a great time. That's why we were dying out there, man, to get that medal. And hey, I'll say one thing I wanted to mention is being with Steve and allowing him, like that was Steve's first medal for Canada after all these years. I think was so cool. Like he was so emotional after he realized he just had finally won the medal, and he talked about Steve Nash's book and reading Steve Nash's book and when he was younger, and Steve Nash talked about, hey, like, there's lots of things I want, but I want a medal for Canada. And very cool for me to like be a small piece of that experience for Steve and with Steve.
That's really nice of you to say, Marek. And I'm talking with Marek Klassen, member of the medal-winning men's 3x3 Team Canada, recently in the San Juan, Puerto Rico FIBA 3x3 America Cup, here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. Marek, 5-on-5. Well, do you have your plans in place now for what's going to happen the rest of the season? Are you still in discussions with a number of teams? What's your status?
Yeah, still in discussions with a number of teams. My agents have done a pretty good job here of kind of building out the storyline of what it looks like. So, we obviously did a 3x3 with Canada basketball, Puerto Rico. That was phenomenal. And now, looking forward, well, what's the next event for 3x3 or Canada basketball? Can we fit in 3-4 months of 5v5 with a team in Europe? So we have some offers on the table and just trying to kind of like always, just trying to always sort of find the best fit within the markets and just go from there.
Well, Marek, we have our major event in Edmonton at West Edmonton Mall, July 31st to August 3rd. I'm hoping that those plans work out for you, that you could be a part of that, playing for Canada here in West Edmonton Mall, because we're going to put on a heck of a show here, and love for you to be a part of it. That goes without saying. Marek Klassen, thank you so much for making time to speak with me today, and good luck with your ongoing negotiations. I guess one little quick side note, is there any chance that the CEBL could be in Marek Klassen's plans for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I played the first 5 seasons, and then this past year, it just kind of came back home and was like, look, my body is not in the place after the Euro Cup season where I can comfortably say that I can make an impact. And so I sat out just to try and keep myself healthy. And I think this summer, the Vancouver Bandits have done a great job of really finding, a niche as a high-performing team in the CEBL. So I love the CEBL. I have huge respect for it. Shout out Mike Morelli and his team, and also Drew Green, as what they've going to accomplish is going to be really exciting. So Yeah, I'm excited to continue my relationship there. I don't want to say too much, but I'm excited. I love to see you, Bill.
I understand, but believe me, Marek, I'd keep it a secret. I wouldn't tell anybody. I'm joking.
Yeah, we're on there.
Marek, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. I look forward to when we can meet in person. And congratulations on being such an important part of the bronze medal winning team. And all the best for the rest of this season and moving forward. Marek Klassen joining us today here on the Basketball Show. We have a little bit of a technical problem here with the intro music, but that's no problem. This is the Basketball Show, Sports 1440. I'm your host, Paul Sir, along with Ryan Reed. And we're going to do something that I've been very excited about since this all came together. Every week, we're going to do a focus on our what we call our community champions, and that's organizations in our community that are impactful on the game of basketball for a whole variety of reasons. And certainly one of the most impactful groups in the city, in any city, in the sport globally, are the officials. And the Edmonton Basketball Officials Association does a fantastic job of recruiting, training, retaining officials, and seeking out young talent. And I was talking with Karan Lewis, who's the president of the EBOA recently, and we were talking about who a potential guest would be. And Karan, being what I would consider to be a very benevolent guy, really wasn't interested on his being on the show, but rather getting one of the local talented young officials on. And his first go-to person that came to mind for him that joins us now is Reihen Knysh. Reihen, who also happens to be Ryan Reed, one of Ryan Reed's good friends, joins us today. Reihen, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
We are doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And your buddy will be talking to you in a second. He's going to really put you on the spot. He was saying he's going to come up with some real tough questions about some of the calls you've made. And of course, I'm just joking. All right. So, Reihen, you and Ryan played basketball together growing up. Obviously, you have a love for the game. What drew you into officiating at the young age that you're at?
Of course. When I was in high school, I realized I wasn't really the tallest or strongest guy on the team. And one of my good friends, his name's Evan LeBon, and his dad, Stefan LeBon. Steph refereed Canada West basketball, came out to my game one time just to watch and asked if I wanted to referee just to make money. And Evan went to go referee volleyball and I went to go referee basketball just to make, $50 for a game. And take the clinic, have my first game, and I have my friend Stefan LeBon, an Edmonton referee named by the Joanna Wiegers, and also Karan Lewis on the sideline from my first game, just to make, $50, $100 for a couple games. That's what drew me to refereeing. Didn't have any clue on how, big of a business it is and how so many people love refereeing. I was just trying to make some money and just a high school job. I have practice the next day for my high school team with Ryan. And so, yeah, that's how I got started, honestly, refereeing U11 basketball with three of my good friends on the sideline.
Well, that's really interesting. And by the way, Steph LeBon, I coached for a long time. Steph was one of my favorite officials. He's just a tremendous, tremendous human being. And the fact that he saw potential in you and paid special mind to you, Reihen, is just a testimony, I think, to the kind of man that Steph is. So I'm not surprised to hear that he would display an act of kindness like that. All right, so here you are. You're in high school. You're trying to make some extra bucks on a side hustle. You get out there. What was your first experience like, and why did you want to keep proceeding in the referee, into officiating growth and development?
Of course. My first game, I remember it was like court 5 at Saville, refereeing like a U13 basketball game, and I was so overwhelmed with what I was doing. And of course, Steph, Karan, and Joanna are all on the sidelines, like, blow your whistle, like, go report the foul. I'm a rookie at this. And honestly, the struggle and how challenging it was kind of scared me at first, because I was like, man, there's tons of screaming parents on the sideline. There's coaches. wanting to know what I'm calling. And here I have to have that self-confidence as a 17-year-old to kind of, show and have that confidence to show everyone that, what I'm doing, in a sense. And what really led me to want to become better and more experienced was honestly the relationships that I created around refereeing. I would go referee another game and meet another partner and another partner, and just to see why they like refereeing and why they strive to be better, really drew me to that. And then obviously, an opportunity comes its way to maybe attend, high school provincials. And I have that experience. I meet 8 new referees and a referee coach and have a really good experience. Then I want to go to another one and another one. And honestly, what kept me to strive to be better was just the relationships around it and the beauty in that struggle, where sometimes I'm just as lost as, the players are on what's happening on the floor, but I have to pretend like I know what I'm doing and show that confidence. And then
I love that.
Next time I won't mess it up again. I make one mistake one night, I take notes, I learn from it, and then I strive to not make the same mistake twice. And honestly, that continuous growth is what keeps referees in this game, to be honest.
Hey, Reihen, good to hear from you.
Hey, Ryan. Good to hear from you as well.
A question for you, for the listeners here, is the hardest group of people to referee, the ones that give you the most flack, whether that be men or women, and what age group that is in your experience?
I told you he was going to be tough on you right here.
Yeah, honestly, high school students are great. Youth basketball is great. I would honestly say it's the men's league. Men's league, shout out to EBA. They do a great job. And honestly, I would not be where I am today without, the hundreds of men's league games that I've refereed. That's a tough group because they're full-grown men, right? They're adults. And here's me, a 22-year-old kid or a young adult, trying to, belong on the floor with these men. And they're a tough group just because they have a little bit of an attitude. They have lots of confidence, and they can kind of say whatever they want to you. And you gotta kind of fight back and have that little bit of arrogance too, to show strength. And they're like, okay, he's not too bad. But specifically, Team Express, I don't know if you've heard of them, Ryan. Great group, Edmonton Basketball Association. They're one of my favorites to referee, for sure.
And of course, Ryan plays on that team, and I keep hearing complaints in the community how Reed never gets a foul called on him when you're refereeing. So, that favoritism, unfortunately, Reihen, and of course I'm joking on that. And we're talking to Reihen Knysh with the Edmonton Basketball Official Association here on the Basketball Show. Reihen, I have to place a comment in about the adults. I played in university, played overseas, and then I started playing. I still played at a high level for a long time. But what was apparent with myself and my friends is, as we got older and we got further out of shape, we still thought we were really good, only we weren't. And oftentimes we started lashing out at the first object that we could express our hostility to, and oftentimes that was the officials. And older dudes are tough. They really are. The egos stay the same, but the skills start to erode, and yet they still think they're awfully good.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's no doubt.
So, Reihen, what are your goals as an official? Let's talk about growth and development. Obviously, there's a lot of mentoring and training that goes into becoming a great official. And Edmonton is a real gold mine for officials in Canada. Of course, Matt Kallio, officiating in the NBA, Karen Lasuk, Olympic official, Division I official down in the States. You've got a lot of FIBA certified officials that officiate all around the world. What are your personal goals and aspirations?
That's a great question, Paul. And honestly, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it with the experiences that I've had, and I try not to get too high on myself. I would just love to referee, the highest level that I have the opportunity to. And I'm not sure where that finish line is. Obviously, I look at Matt and I look at Karen. I would love to be in their shoes one day. but I just know that the work that I put in now will hopefully lead to that. And some of the experiences that I've had in the past, going to, ASAA provincials or nationals, and, having friends that are going to the World Cup or going to the Olympics, like Matt Callio himself, and seeing him work on the NBA floor, that would be super, super cool. And, if I'm given the opportunity, I would love to, as anyone else would. So I see those people, and I see, the lives that they have, and it just makes me work that much harder to work that extra men's league game and to work that extra university game, just to get that extra practice in, or read the rule book a little bit more, watch more film. And with that work being put in, who knows what can happen in the future? I just know I'm a 22-year-old from Edmonton, but I know the history that Edmonton Basketball Officials Association has within it. So hopefully that answers the question without being too specific,
Reihen, it absolutely answers the question. And, in basketball in general, whenever you talk to people that are involved in the game, anybody that wants to get to really achieve at a high level in the sport, it's often said by many coaches that it's the work you do when nobody's watching that's going to make the difference. You can go to a camp, you can go to a clinic, you can play in a tournament. That's all well and good, but it's what you do in the gym or on the playground when nobody's watching, whether it's working on your shot, on your ball handling. Those are the players that really excel, because the idea of the 10,000 hours, it's really true. And there's no shortcut. There's no technology that's going to turn you into a great shooter. It can give you a bunch of data. It can help. But it's going to be the thousands of shots that you do when nobody's watching. And the same with you. It's going to be that extra men's league game. It's going to be that extra community game. It's going to be that extra junior high game, along with your studying and your looking for feedback and how you can improve in your craft. That's going to help you have an opportunity and a shot at moving up the officiating food chain.
There's no doubt. And that could not be told to me enough to, make me keep working. And I've been told time and time again, like, the cream will always rise to the top, where you put the work in when no one's watching, like you said, Paul, and, the opportunity will come your way. So that keeps me going every day, to go to the gym or, get that extra shot in, or, read the rule book, a men's league game, anything. So that's great.
Well, I'm hoping we can get you out on the 3x3 court this summer when we run our event. It would be great to have you come out, and because there's a pathway there too as more and more international opportunities come up. But Reihen Knysh, it has been a real pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you so much. The only question I have for you is your taste in friends, but that's we'll let that one pass and not hold it against you. But we wish you all success. Like I said, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Best of luck for the rest of this season, and we look forward to bumping into you in the basketball community. Reihen Knysh joining us on The Basketball Show today.